Hey everybody, it's LaRonda. I'm back with another video. I want y'all to come a little bit close because today I'm about to tell you a story about my worst Tinder date ever. Are you listening? Ever, okay? I am a 40-year-old woman and I have been on a lot of dates in my life. And this date has been the worst ever. I've been on dates where men have forgotten their wallet. I've been on dates where men have told me that they were one thing and they look like something completely different, where they were shorter than they said, or any people who I wasn't necessarily attracted to because they posted a picture of themselves from years ago. I mean, all of that was better than what I'm about to tell you. So I had been, I've been on a dating hiatus. So like this summer, every summer when my son goes away, I generally try to get a lot of dates in, right? So this particular weekend, I had been on several dates and I'd been, doing my usual Tinder swiping and whatever else. And so I came across this one guy who was telling me that he's here on the island because he got a residency at one of the major hospitals here. And so, we got to talking and, the conversation was decent. It wasn't boring or anything like that. So, we decided to meet up. He asked me if I wanted to meet up and I said, yeah, cool. I'm available on Saturday. Let's meet up at in the evening, 7 p.m. So we made a plan. We decided to meet up. So the next day I confirmed with him because I'm the one that generally, I have to drive from my town into San Juan where I told him I would like to meet him. And so I wanted to confirm. So I confirmed. He said yes, and we had chatted about the fact that he was going to go shopping and for his new apartment. And he said he didn't have any style and that maybe we could go shopping on our date. And, I was like, maybe not. But, that was cute. And I said, but take pictures of whatever you buy. And so you can show them to me when we meet up, and we can chat about that. And so I drive down to San Juan, ride around, find some parking, and walk over to where we said we're going to meet. And I get there and I see him. And we greet each other with a smile and a hug. And it's, oh, hey, how are you doing? You're so gorgeous. How's everything going? How'd your shopping go? And, he tells me that he had started putting his bed together that day. And he got it all done and, and so then he starts reaching for his phone and taking it out of his pocket. So I'm thinking that he's getting ready to show me the pictures that I had said earlier to show me from his shopping trip. But no, he then starts to answer a video call. And the lady on the phone says, who's that lady? And I was like, at first it was like, I kind of, how something happens and you don't fully process exactly what's going on right away. But, the next moment I realized, I'm like, well, no friend or mother or whatever would ask who's that lady like that. And second of all, how did she even know that I was talking? Because when he pulled out the phone and held it up, he said, hold on. And I immediately stopped talking when I realized he wasn't about to show me pictures. So I don't know whether they had been talking on the phone before I walked up and maybe he just accidentally didn't hang it up and, could hear or whatever her talking from his pocket or what, because I don't know how she could have heard me if when he pulled the phone out of his pocket, that's when he started the call. Anyway, she must have heard me talking. And so his response back was something like, oh, she's somebody that I work with or somebody, I think he said somebody that I work with or somebody that I go to school that I'm was going to school with or going to go to school with or something like that. But you know, when your mind is racing and you're trying to figure out what's going on, like some details kind of skip by you. But oh, she's somebody who. Now, whoever he said that I was absolutely not somebody who I was, obviously. And so then he goes on, continues walking ahead, and obviously I'm not going to continue walking with him because I could see, like, if he's standing there, like, using the front-facing camera, I could see that he was trying to hold the camera in such a way that the person would not see me standing there and that I wouldn't be able to see who he was on the phone with. So basically he had to keep standing with the phone away from me and like backing away down the promenade where we were towards the beach. And like this little area is really beautiful. If you've ever been to San Juan, it's around Ventana del Mar. And it's an open grassy area right in front of the beach, and it's a nice breeze there, and little children play, and there's fountains and whatever. So it's a nice little area. And so he walks away, and as he's walking away, I hear him say, "You want to go on a little walk with me?" He's holding his phone. "You want to go on a little walk with me?" And then as he's walking and backing away, and then like once he gets far enough away, he's down the road and he turns the phone around and he's kind of giving her the panoramic view of the place and showing her around. And I mean, he damn near walked down towards the beach, which is a good, like, I wouldn't say it's like maybe half a football field. You know, like it's a good little distance, not super far, but like, you know, it's a good bit, far enough that I couldn't even see him at some point. And so I'm just sitting there trying to gather my thoughts, and like once the brain synapses start firing and I start figuring out what's really going on here, I get up and sort of walk down towards the beach to see like where the guy was, and I kind of just stood there and just waved, and I turned and walked away, and I left. And so I was so upset and so like, you know, just it was like really, it was almost devastating. I don't know, I don't want to say devastating, like that's such a strong word, but you know, it was hurtful. You know, for me it was hurtful. And, you know, I was really like in shock over it. So I left there and started walking down towards my car. And I decided that I was going to go and sit on the beach a little bit because it was, you know, 7 o'clock at night, a little after 7. The sun was setting. So I was like, you know what, let me just go sit on the beach and collect my thoughts, because the last thing that I wanted to do was walk all the way back to my car and go all the way back home after I'd come all the way down there, you know, got dressed, come all the way down there, you know, paid the tolls and all that kind of stuff just to get into San Juan. And, you know, I don't want to make it seem like I was so far from home. It was only like 25 minutes, but still, I had to get in the car and drive and make an effort to get there. I don't know exactly where he was coming from. I'm pretty sure it was somewhere in San Juan, but, you know, like I wanted to meet there because that's where I feel safe meeting, and that's where I know where things are, and I know that there's plenty of things that can be done, you know, in that area. So I'm not really complaining about that part, but I mean, you know, there was some effort that went into me going on this date, right? So I go and sit on the beach and kind of just think and collect my thoughts and let, you know, everything just sink in. So, you know, I'm trying to decide, am I going to write this guy back and like say how I feel, or am I just going to let it go? But then I was like, you know what, I got to say something. So I jumped back on my Tinder. And what I noticed is that the day before, when I had spoken to him and we had made the date, I said to him, okay, well, if anything changes tomorrow and you have any issues and, you know, we can't meet up, just call me or text me. I said, text me and I put my phone number there. And generally when I do that, or when someone does that to me, you know, if we've had a good enough conversation or rapport, that person will generally write back, okay, well, here's my number, you know, same. or vice versa, whatever. But I noticed that this time he didn't. And I didn't really think much of it at the time, other than like, okay, maybe he's one of those people that likes to meet first before giving out any personal information, and that's understandable. So I didn't really think anything else of it until the next day when this whole thing went down. I was like, oh, that's why he didn't want to give me his number, because then I would have his information, and it was always a possibility that this woman, wife or girlfriend, whatever she happens to be, could find my number, whether it be on the phone bill or whatever. So I was like, oh, it started to all make sense. So as I'm sitting there on the beach on a rock, I decided, I'm going to jump on my Tinder and I'm going to write him. And what I said was, I got in my car and drove all the way down here just to meet you, only to find out that you have a wife, or I think I said a girlfriend. Classy one, aren't you? That's what I said. And then I said, I know for you this might just be Tinder, but there's a lot of nice people on Tinder looking for other nice people that really don't deserve this kind of thing. And, I just kind of basically let him know that I didn't appreciate how he had treated me. And I just said, kind of left it as good luck with everything. And that was it. I'm not one of those people that's going to be, nasty and neck popping and all that kind of stuff. Like, although at that moment you do, like, I would have maybe liked to get in a good slap, but like, that's just not my style. That's not my style. Like, I'm more of a non-confrontational, walk away, when things don't go right, walk away with my dignity and my pride, and I go on about my business. But, this time I did decide to leave a message, and he responded back, I'm sorry. And then I did not hear anything more. All I needed to know was that he had seen my message. And so if he hadn't responded that day, I would have just assumed that he had seen it and unmatched him. But he, responded back, I'm sorry, within a few minutes. And then I unmatched him because I'm like, I don't really need to hear anything else. And I really probably didn't need to hear that. But like, I guess that I'm sorry at least gave me some solace that he wasn't like a complete asshole. Maybe there was a small redeeming quality, because like there was a part of me that was expecting him to like get nasty with me or something like that, or say something nasty back, or I didn't come at him in a nasty way, but you never know how people are going to respond to something like that. When they've been caught, how they gonna respond. So once I got his message and I knew he had read what I had said, I unmatched him, so there was no further communication, and there will never be any further communication. But standing there on that sidewalk, by myself, trying to figure out what was going on, and then realizing what was going on, and then sort of feeling all the feelings that go along with that, the anger, the humiliation, the like complete shock of the situation. And I think I've mentioned before, like I'm a person that goes to therapy and stuff, and I'm trying to deal with a lot of the trust issues and things that I have, from hurts in my past with men and with my father and my family and whatever. And so those trust issues, when you try to build up yourself and try to get away from having those types of issues, and you work on yourself and stuff like that, these kind of situations popping up can really fundamentally change the way a person shows up. Like, and for me, I'm one of those people that, it could be that I completely change the vibe that I go into a situation with because of this. Because now I'm going to be skeptical and thinking that so many of these men have wives or girlfriends. And the reason is, there were other dates that I went on. I went on a date earlier that morning with a guy, and he was nice. He had decent conversation, whatever. He was here from Ireland, so like I kind of knew he wasn't going to be anything. I just went out with him because I was like, oh, it would be interesting to see, talk to an Irish person, see what he's got going on in his life. And, that's the kind of person I am. Talk to him about his life and his culture and whatever. So we went out, and as the date was ending, he had said something to me about keeping in touch and wanting to keep in touch. And so he asked me if I had Kik, and I was like, no. And Kik is one of those applications where you basically create some kind of false username and, allows you to chat with people, right? I don't really have that. I used to have it a long time ago, but like I barely used it, so I deleted it. And I'm certainly not going to re-download it for one person, right? And so I asked him, I was like, well, do you have WhatsApp? And he says to me, well, I just use it for work stuff. So, no, I don't, But WhatsApp is obviously different because you actually have to exchange personal phone numbers in order to get somebody's WhatsApp. And so I didn't really, think a whole lot about the fact that this man could have also been married. I didn't ask him. It was never something that I asked. I thought that when I had seen his photos that, it didn't really look like he had a ring on or anything like that. I mean, and people can remove rings. It just never occurred to me. And I was like, well, he's only here for, one more day. So it's not even going to be a thing. So it never occurred to me to ask him. But then when he was hesitant to exchange numbers, and then later on after the situation with the other guy happened, I was like, maybe this is also a thing. So I went back to my Tinder and I took some screenshots because you can't really zoom in on the pictures on Tinder. And he had some kind of like pictures that were slightly far away, but like where you could see his whole body, and his hands and stuff. So I took a screenshot and zoomed in. And when you get a little bit closer, it looked like you could kind of see the possibility of a ring on his finger. And that's when it sort of made sense. Because nobody is going to say, oh, no, I don't want to keep in touch with you on WhatsApp because it's only used for work. Like, if this is your personal cell phone, like, what is the harm in having one chat with somebody who's not from your job, So I start sort of putting two and two together. We ended up leaving that date without exchanging any information. And I guess his point was that maybe we were just going to keep in touch on Tinder. But I was like, you know what? Once I realized that might have been the case or whatever, and plus he was leaving anyway, I was like, you know what? Unmatched. Nope. So I was done with him. And then I had gone on another date last Friday with this other guy, and he was cool also. Like, we had good conversation. There was never a dull moment in the date. We ate and talked about movies and comic books and all that kind of stuff, just chilling. And I was the one that sort of initiated that meeting. Like, we had been talking for a couple of weeks, and I was like, you know what? It looks like if I don't ask, we're not going to be meeting up. So I went ahead and asked the guy if he wanted to meet up for a date, and he did. And so at the end of that date, I asked him, I was like, well, if I hadn't asked you out, asked you to meet up with me, what would have happened? He said, well, I guess we would have kept just chatting. And he commenced to tell me about his social anxiety and all the stuff, that the reasons why, he told me he was never popular with the girls and this, that, and the third. So, he would have just, I guess, been content to just sit on Tinder and chat forever. And then, so I said, well, now that you know that there's some interest or whatever between us, that you're, you enjoyed your time with me and I enjoyed my time with you. Can I allow you to take it from here? He was like, yeah. So would it be all right if we exchange numbers? And I was like, sure, thinking that we were going to actually keep in touch. And after the date was over, he texted me. We talked a little bit more. I watched some of the things that he recommended to me on Netflix, and we talked a little bit about that. And then sort of he would start this thing like shortly after that, like that weekend. That Saturday we talked a little bit, but then Sunday and on, it was kind of like one of those things. Oh, hey, hope you're doing well. Have a great day. And then every day it would be kind of one of those things, something that didn't allow the conversation to flourish. It was just like, hey, hope you're having a good day, or good morning, hope you're doing well. And then eventually that sort of died off. And so I was just like, So he left the scene for a bit. And then I think Sunday afternoon, he popped up again. This was after the Saturday night debacle with the guy on the sidewalk. And so I was just like, you know what? Let me just tell this dude right now. I said, you know what? I'm going to let you off the hook. I don't get the vibe that you're really all that interested in continuing to getting to know each other. I'm not one of these people that enjoys inconsistencies and, men that kind of go and come and pop up and leave again, like all that swinging back and forth in and out of my life. And, that don't work for me. And I basically let him know that. And he was like, oh, I'm sorry. And, sometimes my moods and the way things happen in my life and my moods change and whatever. And I'm really sorry about that. And I understand. And, and so I was just like, you know what? There's no need to apologize. There's no judgment. Like, I understand your moods and your social anxiety and all that kind of stuff. But like right now, that's just not what I'm looking for. Like, I'm looking for somebody that's wanting to get to know me on a consistent basis. Not this in and out and like, when his mood changes, then I don't hear from him and then all of a sudden he's back, and ain't nobody got time for all that, okay? So I cut him off too. And there was another one that I never got to meet, but I'll tell y'all about him later. I don't want to make this video too long, but yeah, I'm working to make sure that I don't let this kind of thing change me. I don't let it change who I am as a woman. I don't let it change how I interact and how I show up on my dates. I'm just trying to make sure that I continue to be the better person and the person that I want to show up on these dates. So yeah. But this one was a doozy. It was a doozy. Okay. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. This video is kind of long. Hopefully you stuck around and watched the whole thing. But if you didn't, thanks for coming anyway. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Hopefully I'll give you a recap of that other guy in the next video. We never even made it out. But we'll talk about that later. Happy dating, everybody. See you next time.